So Miss Lily and I are on my mental health walk. I thought that since we had such a good response from our previous video about camping in the US versus Canada, which you can see here, I thought that I would go with the natural next step, which is driving in Canada versus the US. And believe it or not, there are a few small differences. They aren't major, and a lot of people be like, well, why even bother bringing that up? Well, because there are some people that would see these unknown elements as bricks that they're going to, put in front of them to keep them in their comfort zone and keep them from getting out. And I'm going to bust through that wall of bricks like the Kool-Aid man. Oh yeah! Oh, I was a little too macho man, right? So stay tuned. I'm Chris, this is Lily, and we're adventure dogs. Hey, Miss Thing, what do you see? First things off, the highway. So in the States, you have the interstate system designated by an I and then a number, and it's a web that goes all through the States. You basically hop on at one point and you cruise through to the next point. My American friends are saying, yeah, no Sherlock. Canada, we don't have an interstate system. The closest thing that we have is the Trans-Canada Highway, which really isn't even a national road. It's literally a bunch of roads that people just went, oh, let's stick a green sign with a white maple leaf on it and call it Trans-Canada. Which means that if you think that you can just hop on it at one point and turn your brain off, you can't, because it will actually turn into different roads. Like you have to turn off of, say, Highway 12 to get onto it to another point. So that's something you have to kind of pay attention to, and the signage sucks in some places. The other thing is that the Trans-Canada splits into two sections in Manitoba. So you have the southern part, which goes along kind of the lower section of the country, and then you have a northern section, which is also called the Yellowhead Highway, that ends in Prince Rupert in BC. If you are going to be going along the northern section, there is a portion that has been called the Highway of Tears. I'm not going to tell that. That's not my story to tell. I don't think I could do it justice, and I think it would be disrespectful. I will say, for me, like, I'd heard about it, but it didn't really become real until I saw all the signs that were telling people not to pick up hitchhikers, and that was like a visceral gut punch. So if you're going to go, just take a few minutes to read about it and understand the history to it and what's going on. I don't even want to come up with words, because I feel like it just won't seem respectful, and I'm really trying to be respectful because it deserves that. Another thing with the highway are the toll roads. In the US, you have toll roads, it seems, everywhere, and you throw a few quarters in, or you pay $1 at the booth and you're good to go. We don't have a lot of toll roads in Canada. I'm not including the toll they have to pay to get into the country either way. The one that I know most is the 407, just north of Toronto, and it is literally highway robbery. If you don't have a transponder, I think it's like an instant $12 fee. Yeah, I took it once across the top of Toronto and it was like $25. So yeah, no thank you. So if you're gonna be on the highways, you need to get fuel, i.e. gas. In the States, mostly, I think it's pretty much standard. It's all prepay, either pay at the pump or pay to the attendant. Now, if you're paying at the pump, you sometimes have to put in a zip code. I don't have a zip code. I'm Canadian. So I go through all the hassle of, hide my pin, go see a attendant. You're like, oh, and then you gotta walk in there. And sometimes even inside, depending on how new the person is at the cash, they may not know how to do it without a zip code either. So I've just gotten to the point where I'm just paying in cash anyway, which means that I also have to do the conversion of how much American, how much gallons. So I usually just, after half a tank, it's usually about $20 for me. In Canada, you don't have to prepay. I mean, there is that option, but you can still pump and pay. And I've never seen anything that requires a zip code or a postal code, so that's nice. Gas cards don't always work. I cash in Aeroplan miles for a Esso/Mobile gas card, and even at mobile stations, it doesn't always work. It always works at Esso. So I don't know if that's a Canadian bot thing, or if because it's done with Aeroplan miles, but that's just something to keep in mind. Make sure that you're not going to have to pay for stuff that you're not planning on it, because usually there's other things like food that's better to pay for than gas. Gas is lame. Rest areas. Now, the vast majority of rest areas are pretty much the same. It's usually a low building. Sometimes you'll have an info portion, a tourist section in there, vending machines and toilets, sometimes potable water. Never did figure that out. Sometimes not. Often there is designated dog walk areas. Please respect the dog walk areas and only put your dogs there, and keep your dog on a leash, not just because it's the law, which it should be good enough a reason, but I have not been to a single dog walk area that didn't have mounds of poo, and sometimes human poo too, which I just can't seem to figure out. Broken glass, discarded and rotting food, used uncapped needles, like that's cool. And also, if you're attached to your dog, you're more likely to notice when they poop. Whereas if you just kind of let them go and you turn the brain off, they might poop and you don't see it. Respect other people. If they ask you to keep your dog away from them, keep your dog away from them. Like, don't be that guy. We have a hard enough reputation as dog owners as it is. We don't need more people adding to that. One other thing about rest areas, and I never really did understand this, is a lot of them will have no overnight parking, but isn't the time that you would want tired people off the road overnight? And I guess it's probably to keep people from just, camping out there and doing whatever. But if you're anything like me, you pull over, it takes you a little bit for your brain to shut off. Just be aware that not all rest areas are okay with overnight parking. One more thing about rest areas. Some rest areas do actually have dog exercise areas, like as in dog pens, and I've seen more of those in the States than I have in Canada. Those are awesome, but again, make sure you pay attention where your dog is going, clean up after them, be respectful of the space that you're going through, and yeah, I think that's it for rest areas. One more thing, do yourself the favor and convert from metric to imperial, imperial to metric. Unless you like the stimulation of converting, miles to kilometers and kilometers to miles, it does really help, especially if you're a little heavy on the gas pedal, like someone I know. You're gonna fall in the water. So that's it. Where's Miss Lily? I don't even know. She blends in so well. Oh, I see movement. Let me know what you think. What did I forget? Because inevitably I forget something. Throw some comments in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share if you see any value. I really appreciate you spending time with me, taking time out of your busy day to hang out with us. I know I say it with every video, and that's because it's true. I really do appreciate it. This is a great community that we're building, and I'm really happy to see it continue to grow. We'll see you out there. Safe travels.